Welcome back to SwitchCorner. It's time for our weekly look at 5 hidden gems you can find right now on the Nintendo Switch. This one, it's volume 8, so if you haven't checked out the others yet, head over to the channel to do just that. You're going to find this video here every single Tuesday. So look, with that, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and let's get started. So the first game I want to talk about today, 1980X, mainly because I've spent maybe like the last week just listening to the soundtrack on repeat. I picked it up on vinyl and it is absolutely incredible in all of its like synthwave goodness. This one though, it's actually the first in what is intended to be a series, though I will say it's self-contained enough that standalone it absolutely works too. Here though, we find ourselves living in suburbia just outside the city. We will often find our character kind of looking at the city from his window, just kind of, daydreaming. One day though, wandering around the streets, you discover an arcade, a place where your reality can change, where every day you can be something different or someone new. It's very much a commentary on, escaping the reality of growing up and finding kind of your own meaning. The gameplay though, it essentially comes down to a small piece of story and then a small section of a game. 5 different games in fact. Think a racer in the style of Outrun, a fantastic shmup, a side-scrolling beat-em-up, a dungeon crawler, and even a ninja style auto runner. While I will say it's a short experience around the hour mark, as a gamer it's easy to relate to the material on offer here, and I really loved my time in this world. Some of these games were so good, in fact they left me wishing they were full releases. This one now I've actually visited like a few times. It's a big recommendation from me. And back to how I opened, even if you don't buy the game, check out that incredible soundtrack. It's available over on Spotify. So Adult Swim games now, I've been playing Samurai Jack this week and it got me thinking about their other releases. So this one, it's Battle Chef Brigade. If ever there was a strange game, this might be it. Here's the idea, you're a wannabe Battle Chef member. Basically these Battle Chefs are known for 2 things, taking down monsters and then transforming them into like tasty dishes. Joining their ranks though isn't easy, and you'll be following 2 contestants, Mina and Thrash, as they work through a competition to enter their ranks. Basically we get almost platformer-like battle sequences with combos and all sorts. It's giving you complete free movement with puzzle-based cooking challenges to impress the judges. This then is all topped off with a surprisingly good story and some light RPG mechanics. If you do want more on top of just like a single player story though, this thing has free play, local battles, survival modes, even included a undead chef recently. It's kind of crazy stuff, but it's really addictive. The combat's fun, but the puzzles were what hooked me personally. They work on like a color-based system and it influences the type of dish you will deliver to the judge. You've basically got to be one step ahead of the match you make. Then to top it all off, stunning hand-drawn art, full voice acting and a solid soundtrack. Really worth taking a look at this one for something that's a little more on the unique side of things. So a lot of people asked about this one last week because I used it on the introduction, and let's talk about it now. Bloodroots. This game is phenomenal. I learnt about it actually from watching Angry Joe Show when OJ and Alex played it, and I picked it up nearly immediately. It was one I had heard of, only for me to kind of like nearly immediately forget about it pre-release, and that would have been a shame because this thing is just badass. Here you take on the role of Mr. Wolf, who was left for dead. The problem for your enemies, you never died, and now you're hell-bent on hunting down your killer and getting your revenge. This also includes killing each and every person you see along the way. This is a Devolver Digital level of quality and idea without actually being Devolver Digital. Its story, it's not going to win any awards, but the controls are just so good. It's an isometric action game where you basically enter area by area and take down everyone in sight with some serious creativity that you rarely see. If it's in this world, it can be used as a weapon, from ladders to rolling on barrels to axes to carrots to explosives. Throw in then the smoothest transitions between your attacks and some fast-paced dash mechanics and some 2D moments in fact, and yeah, this is something special. Not an easy game, and it's very much a high score chaser's dream where, the game rewards you for bigger and bigger combos, but it is seriously stylistic, while also not forgetting that it also needs substance. Incredible game that one day I hope we get to see a physical release of too. So first person shooter fans, now I've been having an absolute blast recently with Ionfiori. It's one I picked up at release, put down for like a review I had to do, and finally now I found my way back to it. This one, it's coming from the team behind Duke Nukem's 3D Realms, and I tell you what, they have not lost any of their edge at all, even slightly. It's like they picked up right where they left off, added a few modern additions, and were just like, here you go, here's our next greatest hit. I've been getting my ass kicked here by this game, and I gotta say, I nearly always immediately press restart and get myself back into the fight. Here though, you're going to be taking on the role of Shelley Bombshell Harrison, great name, on a quest to slay the evil Dr. Heskel in Neo DC. Not the deepest of stories, sure, but what it does open things up for is an absolute path of just destruction. Using the same engine they did back in the day, it's impressive how good these heavily pixelated graphics look. Now, no doubt it's going to be a little easier to get used to the style if you grew up during that period like myself, but I'd still suggest it to nearly all first-person shooter fans out there. It's got a great sense of humour that the studio is now famous for, tons of blood and gore as these pixels frequently explode into, well, smaller pixels, tons of levels to work your way through, and then finally some good old gyro controls to really top off the experience. This thing is like a time capsule to a game that never got released, but they've really delivered, and I think you should at least wishlist this one for the collection. So our final game of the week then, and I reviewed this one over on the channel, but it's another one I've been revisiting recently, Lonely Mountains Downhill. Even if every time I say the title, I pretty much always can guarantee I'll start with Lonely Islands. This is the idea though, get from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain in a, record time. Controls wise, simple. Steer, accelerate, brake and sprint. Where this game gets more and more difficult is actually in the design of its tracks and the mountains it's forcing you onto. It's going to make you get better with each of these inputs. My favourite thing of it all wasn't making my way to the bottom honestly, but figuring out all the secret little areas and shortcuts that the game actually has. It'll take a while to get used to the controls with this one because that isometric view combined with left and right turning feels a little bit weird at first, but you will get it quickly, and before you think about it, you'll actually realise how intuitive it all is. There's two different controller options as well, so there should be something to suit everyone's taste. The real skill here though, it comes in recognising the physics and how this bike moves. Like braking on a hill doesn't necessarily mean you're going to instantly stop. Rounding out the package then, really clean and crisp style that's just simple but effective. A ton of contents with different mountains, options, difficulties, and then the thing that kept me coming back, online leaderboards. If you really want to punish yourself though, the biggest challenge with this one, it's called Freerider. This mode, there's no checkpoints at all, it's a single crash and it's game over. You might end up breaking your Switch. Another one though that's well worth an add to the library, as there's very few games out there like it. In fact, I can't even think of another one even remotely similar on the Switch right now. And that is it, another 5 gems on the Switch. Have you played any of these, considered them already, or even put them on that wish list? Let me know then in the comments if you agree or disagree with any of today's choices. Now with that, as always, head here every Tuesday for hidden gems, Thursday and Saturday, that one's for sales deals, and Sundays for a discussion on what's releasing over the next week for the Nintendo Switch. I even throw in a ton of reviews as well on random days when I'm allowed to release them. With that then, a huge shout out to the patrons of the channel. We had a new one join just today, and it truly is appreciated how you are all just going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know. If you want to check that out for yourself, I've linked it in the video description down below. Then finally, look, if this is your first time on the channel, or maybe you've checked out a few videos of ours before, hit subscribe if you love the Switch as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.